and welcome back to Western New York High School Sports Weekly. This is Francis Beck. I'm with Roger Weiss. We're going to talk a little girls basketball in Section 6 and Monsignor Martin. Top performers in Section 6 are Paige Imbrowski with the most points. She's from Newfane. And then from Southwestern, Erin Rack has the most assists. And the top rebounder is Alana Dibble. Certainly a great year for the Trojans. And team-wise, at the top is Orchard Park of the Double A's. They're currently undefeated at 12-0. Roger, this year, who's sticking out for you in girls basketball?
Well, when you say sticking out, I'm guessing you want to know who's going the farthest. Monsignor Martin, the way they set it up, the top 6 teams will be battling for the Double A and the A seeds across New York State. How that works is whoever finishes first and second will draw a bye in the playoffs. 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5 in a quarterfinal. Then they reseed. It's not like the sections. Once the brackets are set, they're set. In Monsignor Martin, they reseed. So what happens, the first place team will play the lower seed of the surviving 2 teams. The second place team will play the higher survivor, and those will be the semis. The finals will be whoever wins the final now. The winner of that will represent Monsignor Martin in the Double A's down in downstate New York. The loser of that game will represent Class A. And unfortunately, it would probably be an advantage for the loser in that game. The winner of that game will have to go up against the elite of New York State girls basketball. And you're talking New York City teams, which appear to be more like junior college basketball teams than high school basketball teams. So I'm projecting that it will be the Cardinal O'Hara Lady Hawks and the Sharks of Sacred Heart will play in the finals. Probably they will face off against either Mount St. Mary's or St. Mary's of Lancaster in the semis. That could change. Then the surviving 5 schools will do a similar fourth and fifth, or 10th and 11th for that matter, will play a play-in game. Then they will have a semi and final between those 4 teams that are left, and whoever comes out of there will represent Class B. Again, I like the loser of the probably Sacred Heart versus Cardinal O'Hara game, representing the Class A in New York State to have a real good chance to win the New York State title. As far as the section schools, whoever comes out of Class D, and I'm projecting that game to be Panama versus Franklinville. To me, should it go that far, that would almost be the de facto New York State championship game. Whoever comes out of there should go all the way, in my opinion. Class C, you have, Allegheny Limestone? Pretty much, they're going to come out of the section. How far they can go, I don't know. Not too familiar with many of the teams outside of Section 6 in Class C. Class B, boy, you could almost pull names out of the hat. You alluded to Paige Imbrowski from Newfane earlier. Her Newfane team right now looks like the best team to come out of Class B, but it's by no means a lock. And I don't see Class B being that successful beyond Western New York at Section 6. And Francis, I'm sure you know, I hope I'm wrong on that one.
Yeah, currently the Panthers are 12-1 on the season. Their one loss is a non-leaguer to Depew. That was back in late December. Going back to, you talked a little bit of O'Hara. They lost some kids from last year, but they're a young roster, a small roster, but they're still handling their local teams well. I remember coming into the season, there were some people who speculated this may be the year their run ends. They've been beating Western New York teams for the past 4 seasons. Are you a little shocked that they are doing this well?
No, because of the system they play in that, they're relentless. They only have 8 girls on their varsity, but all 8 are involved. He rotates them in. It's not a case where the 2 best players play, 35 out of 40 minutes. They're fresh. Come the fourth quarter, when these other teams are starting to suck air and all that, and panting and all that, because of the way Nick O'Neill rotates these girls, they're ready. They're almost as fresh in the fourth quarter as they are in the first. I don't know how well that will work against Sacred Heart. Now, Sacred Heart has depth. They have 15 girls, and they play 8, 9 girls. Carrie Owens doing a real good job taking over there. If there's a glitch in O'Hara's armor, it might be Sacred Heart.
The other Montgomery team I want to talk about, with the team that also has a new coach, is Mount St. Mary's with Fran Snyder. They've actually impressed me, and I think they're a little better than what they've shown.
They beat St. Mary's of Lancaster the other night, if I'm not mistaken. They handled them pretty well, in which I thought was the, third place game, if you will?
Yeah.
And what does that mean if you finish third? Chances are you'd have to go up against Sacred Heart rather than Cardinal O'Hara in the
semifinal, which looks like to be an easier road. Easier test.
Pick your poison, Sacred Heart or Cardinal O'Hara. But, they got the transfer girl from Utah, Lois
Garlow.
Garlow.
Yeah, she was the top high school player, I think, as like a freshman, as a sophomore over there. So certainly a lot of talent.
Yes,
there.
And she's playing real well, I guess. When she was here locally before she went out west, it must have been an 8th grader, because I think she's only a junior now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, she's a junior.
So she was away for 2 years. She's a good one. They would have to bring their A game. They can't make mistakes, whether they're playing Sacred Heart or O'Hara. If O'Hara and or Sacred Heart look past Mount St. Mary's, they could be in trouble.
And keep in mind that the Mount actually led O'Hara when they played earlier this month. So certainly they have their wits about them, and they could put together a game possibly.
Again, but like I said earlier, in fact, earlier in the year, I believe it was at the El Pastor, Amherst had Cardinal O'Hara beat after 3 quarters. But again, Nick O'Neill rotates those 8 girls in, so you don't have people dragging their butts in the fourth quarter at Cardinal O'Hara and all that. You got to be able to play 4 quarters, and that's why I'm thinking only because of their depth that Sacred Heart may have a chance. They would be the underdog in that game. O'Hara certainly earned the right to be the favorite, but is it a lock? Not by any means.
Currently at the top of the A1 standings are Williamsville South, just like the boys. They're doing well. They're 6-3, but one of their losses came to Pittsford Mendon. Actually, Mendon out of Pittsford from Section 5. Another one came to Bishop Kearney out of Section 5.
Arguably the best team in New York State outside of those New York City AA schools that I alluded to earlier.
Yeah, 2 losses actually came to Bishop Kearney. That was 62-46 in December, and then a few weeks ago they lost 72-38. So they're certainly battle tested in A1.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody from A1 challenging Will South. Will South stays healthy. I can't see them. Now, then you get to the crossover game against the A2 schools. A2 is a war. You got 4 teams, any one of them that could come out. East Aurora, Iroquois, Lakeshore, and Amherst. All very good teams. And that is, to me, whoever comes out of there would be the only thing between Will South winning Section A in, Section 6A championship for the right to go up against Section 5.
Currently, the Blue Devils lead that division, power points. They're 8-3, and they actually have 2 games that they still need to make up. So that could, and they're both one of them is a league game. The other is a non-league, so that could help them gain some more points going on.
Yes, but having said that, Iroquois and East Aurora, I believe, have to play each other twice, and both of them have to play Lakeshore at least one more time, if not twice. A lot of those games coming up, and that could switch the PowerPoint scenario. Basically, what it is, and if you go down there, the last time I looked at it, the fifth place team in there isn't anywhere near the other four. So chances are the top four seeds are going to be the four team. And you talk about an entertaining semi and final in Class A2 girls, that would probably be the most competitive one for the basketball purists.
Yeah, you got Amherst. They lost Claire Wanzer, but they're still on a roll. Lakeshore, Iroquois,
East Aurora.
East Aurora. Let's see.
And they all feature some good players. The Cornfield sisters at Lake Shore. Obviously, Emma Brinker and the Tully girl at East Aurora. You have Riley Riedel and Tara Quinn at Iroquois. And then you got the two ninth graders at Amherst. The younger Wanzer girl, Claire's sister Ellie, and Emma Klein.
Yeah, the Klein sisters.
Yeah. I know the news, when they were talking about the write-up a few weeks ago, indicated that Emma Klein is a junior. She is not. She is only a ninth grader. They are going to be, they're young, but they are good. Boy, if I had if you backed me against the wall and said pick one team, I think I'd almost lean towards Amherst. The only thing they don't have that the others have is height, at least the others being East Aurora and Iroquois. Lakeshore as well as missing height.
So, Roger, we've talked about a bunch of teams. Give me one team we haven't talked about that you expect to see at Buffalo State.
Well, when you say Buffalo State, you also got to say
and JCC,
Jamestown
yeah.
Community, Franklinville and Panama for sure. Class C, Allegheny Limestone. Class B, when you say Buffalo State, bearing in mind it's only the finals for the girls, whereas the boys, they have semis and the finals at Buff State. So I assume you mean which ones in the semis and all that. Definitely Newfane coming out of Class B. I like them a lot. Obviously, Will South in Class A1. And I'm not even going to, well, I gave you the four semis for Class A2. The only thing we haven't talked about, Double A, the top four teams other than Orchard Park. You also have Clarence, Frontier, Lancaster. Any one of them, Lockport might be a sleeper, although the NFL is not nearly as strong, so I don't think Lockport would be tested. But I think if everybody brings their A team, the team I like best in Double A would be the Clarence Lady Red Devils.
To get after Orchard Park, to take down Orchard Park.
I'm not all that crazy about Orchard Park's schedule this year.
Okay.
They did beat East Aurora in their own, holiday tournament and all that. Yeah, they're undefeated. I would have to see the rest, and of course, you probably play the rest of their ECIC1 opponents at least one more time. Are they a contender? Absolutely. Are they a 12-0 team? I don't think so.
All right. Well, this was Western New York High School Sports Weekly. This was our boys basketball segment. And join us again for our next segment.